In Chapter 9, Problem 9-30, Academic Press produces textbooks for college course. The company recently hired a new editor, Riley White, to handle production and sales of books for an introduction to an accounting course. Riley's compensation depends on the gross margin associated with sales of this book. Riley needs to decide how many copies of the books to produce. The following information is available for the fall semester 2013. Estimated sales of 18,000 books. Beginning inventory, 0 books. Average selling price, $83 per book. Variable production cost, $55 per book. Fixed production cost, $396,000 per semester. The fixed allocation rate is based on expected sales and is therefore equal to $396,000 divided by 18,000 books, which is equal to $22 per book. In requirement number 1, calculate expected gross margin if Riley produces 18,000, 27,000, or 29,700 books. Calculate the gross margin for each level of production. Begin with 18,000 books, then 27,000 books, and lastly 29,700 books. Before we can do the requirements, we must first find out total cost per unit, volume variances under the 18,000 units books, volume variances under 27,000 books, and volume variances under 29,700 books. To find total cost per unit, we will take $55 variable cost production plus allocated cost plus fixed allocated rate of $22 per book, which gives us $77. And to find volume variances for the 18,000 books, we will take fixed production cost of $396,000, and we will subtract it by taking the $22 fixed allocated rate multiplied by the 18,000 books, which gives us $396,000. When we take the fixed production of $396,000 subtracted by fixed allocated, that gives us a total of 0 variances under the 18,000 books. To find variances, volume variances for 27,000 books, we will take fixed production of $396,000, and we will subtract it by the 22,000 times it by the 27,000 books, which gives us $594,000. When we take $396,000 subtracted by $594,000, there is a difference of $198,000. negative. Now to find the volume variances for 29,700 books, we will do the same thing by finding the fixed production of 396,000, subtracting it by $22 per book, times by 29,700 books. That gives me 653,400. So when we take fixed production of 396,000 and subtract it by 653,400, there's an extra zero. Well, let me just go remove this zero. We get a negative number of $257,400. There is a variance of negative 257,400,000 under 29,700 books, and there is a variance of 198,000 under 27,000 books. There is no variance under 18,000 books. With this information, we can proceed to requirement number 1. I have set up a template for requirement number 1 using revenue, cost of goods sold, production volume variances, net cost of goods sold, and gross margin under the 18,000 books. With 18,000 books, we will take the 18,000 books and we will times it by the $83, which is the selling price, that gives us $1,494,000. For the 27,000 books, we will still proceed with the same procedure, taking the $18,000 books, the 18,000 books, and timesing it by the selling price of $83. And with the 27,700 books, we still do the same process, taking the 18,000 books, timesing it by the 83 selling price. That gives us $1,494,000. Under the cost of goods sold, to do that, we would need the $55 variable production cost and also the $22 per book for fixed cost allocated rate. I would take $55 plus $22, that gives me total $77. And I would times that by the 18,000 books. That gives me $1,386,000. And for the 27,000 books, I would do the same thing, taking $55 variable production cost plus the $22 per book, which gives me $77, and timesing that by 18,000 books. And that will give me the same thing of $1,386,000. Same thing for 27 books. Now for the production volume variances, we have already said that under the 18,000 books, there is no variances, which was right here. We calculated that earlier. And we're going to go ahead and mark that with a red so we know that there's no variances. So under the production volume variances, we're going to go ahead and put 0 there. And then for the 27,000 books under production value variances, we have calculated that there is a differences of negative $198. And we'll go ahead and place that right here in this cell. And then for the 27,700 books, we've already calculated that up here. And we have also indicated that that was a negative of $257,400. And we'll go ahead and enter that right here in this cell. Now moving on to find gross margin, to find the net cost of goods sold, I would simply bring my cost of goods sold and subtract it by my production value variances. But because there is nothing there, I can just go ahead and put a 0 there. But for the 27,000 books, actually no, I would just go ahead and bring down my production value. Just like that. I simply bring it down. I wouldn't have to do any addition because there's nothing for production value variances. It's a 0. But for my 27,000 books, I would go ahead and take my cost of goods sold, and I would go ahead and subtract it from the production value variances. Which gives me $1,188,000. And then for the 29,700 books, my net cost, my net cost of goods sold would be taking cost of goods sold, subtracting it by production volume variances of 254,400, and that gives me $1,128,600. Now to find gross margin, I would take my revenue minus my net cost of goods sold, which is the 1,494,000, and I'm going to subtract it by my net cost of goods sold by $1,386,000. That gives me $108,000. I repeat this process for the 27,000 books and for the 29,700 books by simply taking revenue, subtracting net cost of goods sold to get my gross margin. Moving on to requirement number 2. For my 18,000 books, my beginning inventory was 0, because that's what it says right here. Beginning inventory was 0 books. And my production was 18,000 books. I sold 18,000 of them, which left me with 0 for ending inventory. And the cost per book overall was $77, which we got that number from $55 and $22. That was a total of $77 cost per book. And the cost of any inventory is 0. Now for my beginning inventory for the 27,000 books, there was nothing. There was 0. And my production was 27,000 books. And I only saw 18,000 of them, which there was a difference of 9,000. And I'm selling each book for $77, which gives me, by taking 99,000 times by $77, that gives me $693,000 for the cost of ending inventory. For 29,700 books, beginning inventory was 0. Production was 29,700 and sales was 18,000, which gives me a difference by taking 29,700, subtracting it from the $18,000. That gives me a difference of $11,700 because I'm selling per book by $77. By taking $11,700 times by $77, I get $900. cost of ending inventory. Moving on to requirement number 3. It says manager who are paid a bonus that is a function of gross margin may be inspired to produce a product in excess of demand to maximize their own bonus. There are metrics to discourage managers from producing products in excess of demand. Do you think the following metric will accomplish this objective? So for the gross margin and any inventory changes in adjusted gross margin, I've set up my template with the 18,000 books, the 27,000 books, the 29,700 books. So to find gross margin, basically I took what was in my required one here, and just bringing the number down. Okay, and then again for 27,000 books for requirement number 1, it was 306,000. So just bringing the number down. For 29,700 books, gross margin was 365,400. Bring the number down. And for ending inventory, there was 0 here for 18,000 books. Now to find the any inventory changes, there was nothing for 18,000 books, but however for 27,000 books, the books want us to multiply this by 10%. So how do I get this? Well, what I did was I took 693,000 times by 0.10%. That gives me 69,300. And to get the 29,700 books for any inventory changes, I took from my requirement number 2, which is 900,900 times it by 10%, because 10% was what was given to me. So that gives me for any inventory changes is 90,090. Now to find adjusted gross margin, you would take your gross margin subtracted by your any inventory changes. But because I don't have anything for any inventory changes, I'm just going to go ahead and bring the number down. But for my 27,000 books, I would basically take my 306,000 and subtract it by the 69,300. That gives me $236,700 for adjusted gross margin. For the 29,700 books, I would take 365,400 subtracted by the 90,090. That gives me 275,310 for adjusted gross margin. Do you think the metric would accomplish the objective of discouraging manager from producing products in excess of demand? Adjusting for the ending inventory does to some degree mitigate the increase in inventory associated with excess production. Therefore, it may be difficult to mechanically compensate for all the increases in income. In addition, it does nothing to hold the managers responsible for the poor decision from the organization standpoint. In R3B, we are asked to complete a non-financial measures. With this problem, I have set up the following. So the production numbers of books, which is 18,000, 27,000, 9,700 books. We're going to use this formula to find the excess ratio, production ratio. So there is, for production units, there's 18,000 units. And I'm going to go ahead and divide it by my cells of 18,000. That gives me a ratio of 1. And then for the 27,000 books, I'm going to go ahead and divide that by the 18,000 cells, which gives me 1.5 excess production ratio. And then for 29,700, which is, I'm going to divide that by 18,000. That gives me 1.65, an excess production ratio. A ending of inventory to beginning inventory is not possible because beginning inventory was 0. A change in any inventory can be used instead. The non-financial measure must be incorporated into the reward function of a manager to be used. So that wraps up problem 9-3.